Ladies and gentlemen, okay, I would like to lead you to part 2 of this webinar, special talk on how to get a journal index in national and international databases. And it is a great honor for us to invite Assistant Professor Thanis Tangkitjaroenkun. And before we begin, I would like to introduce our speaker first. Okay, Assistant Professor Thanis Tangkitjaroenkun graduated bachelor degree in English, Faculty of Arts, Chulalongkorn University. Master of Arts in English, Faculty of Arts, Chulalongkorn University. Master of Arts, Portuguese, Bristol University. He studied French at Ramkhamhaeng University. Master of Arts in International Relations from Buriram University in England. And his expertise in post-colonial literature, social linguistics. And he is doing his Ph.D. in applied linguistics at USM Malaysia. He has been working since 2010, and now he works in the position Assistant Dean for Internationalization, Faculty of Liberal Arts, King Mongkut, University of Technology, Thonburi. And he worked as editor-in-chief of Reflections Journal, SCOPUS Q2. And today he will give a special talk on how to get a journal index in national and international databases. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome Assistant Professor Thanis Tangkitjaroenkun. เชิญครับอาจารย์ครับ
สวัสดีครับ Hello, hi. Thank you for the invitation. So, okay, let me share the screen. So I would like to share with you, okay, different way, or one quick way to get your journal index in the national and international databases. Okay, so the introduction is very clear. So that's who I am, Thanis Tangkitjaroenkun. I come from King Mongkut University of Technology, Thonburi. I am responsible for Reflections, right? Been working for the journal for the past 13 years. So I started as the editorial team member, and last year I moved up the scale. So I now become the chief editor. It's a challenging task, and I respect people who are trying to push the journal forward. So congratulations for having a new journal as well. I'm also responsible, or I help take care of Thai TESOL journal. I am the assistant editor, work with Ajahn Wuttipong from Chulalongkorn University Language Institute. So both of them are accessible online. So you might want to check those things out. Okay, Reflections is indexed in SCOPUS. Last year, the Q was announced, right? And we were lucky enough to be indexed in Q2, along with Learn Journal from Thammasat University. Thai TESOL is indexed in ERIC, the database ERIC. So that's also an international journal. Okay, so I would like to talk a little bit about what you can do with your journal. Okay, as a new journal, the first thing you probably want to go for is the Thai Citation Index, or TCI. No, so and then once you get into TCI, then you probably be forwarded to ACI, ASEAN Citation Index. For those who get Tier 1, right, Tier 1 from TCI, automatically you would go directly into ACI, but for the most recent development, I don't think it works that way, because I think ACI is now closing for indexing, so they have stopped indexing more journals. So I'm not sure whether it's changed, but for example, for Reflections, once we got the first tier, right, Tier 1, ACI did not index us automatically. We have to email them and then apply separately. So let's see what's going to happen to your journal as well. Okay, ERIC is the next journal that you can, the next database that you can think about as a journal of language and education, right? ERIC from the States would be a great platform for distributing your publications. And of course, our hope, higher stream, right, lies in SCOPUS and SCIMAGO. Okay, so for TCI, let me give you this. Okay, TCI, we have 3 tiers. There used to be 4, but now there are 3. So Tier 1 is the most qualified. So which means that if you get Tier 1, then you are going to be indexed in ACI. But again, you need to check with ACI for this. If you get tier 2, then that's acceptable, which means that you pass the evaluation. Okay, but you're not going to go international just yet. So you pass the evaluation. If you would like to get assistant professorship or associate professorship, yeah, tier 1 and tier 2 are acceptable. For those who are doing a PhD, right, it is also concerning you because as a person who has to publish, right, choosing the right database is very important. If you publish with a journal in tier 3, then that's not acceptable. So your work will not be considered for assistant professorship. So tier 3 needs improvement, which means that you fail the evaluation. TCI is kind enough though. When you get tier 2, for example, they would give you a checklist, of what you are missing. So you can improve in those areas, right? Or if you get tier 3, they would give you a list of things you have to improve in order to pass. And upgrading is annual. So which means that after 1 year, you can always get evaluated again, right? It would happen at the beginning of each year. So this is something that that people who are responsible for the journal have to be alert, have to be alert for. Okay, so getting into TCI, sometimes using money is the best thing. That is something I can give you pretty directly. So you need to spend some money. The first thing you need to do is that you need to talk to Taijo. Go to the website. Taijo and TCI, they work together, right? So Taijo would run your publication database. Right, so let's say you set up a journal and you have to have an online platform, right? So if you can always create your own website, or you can pay Taijo to do it, and Taijo would give you guidelines on what to do. So you have to pay them, probably 11,000 baht per 2 years, so they would send you the bills once in 2 years. So it's not expensive. So it's like 5,500 baht per year, right? So they would give you the editorial system, right, which allows you to do online submission. So your authors can do the online submission. You can assign reviewers, on the spot, right? So once people submit the article, you go into the system and then you can assign reviewers, right? And the reviewers are listed in the website as well. So which means that you don't even have to look so hard. You can just type the names and then see who's available, and then you can assign them online. Okay, you can correspond with authors, right? There are different threads that you can use to talk to your authors. There are messages, there are posts and stuff that you can do. You also can do copy edit your article, and also you can do announcements, and the final stage is publish your article. So you can say accept, reject, or revise, through the system. So the first thing for Ajahn Ek to do, you probably have to get some funding for this. Okay, so money always solve the problem. Okay, to get evaluated by TCI, that's part of the deal, because the database are so big, right? The databases are so big, they are not going to dig into the quality of the paper. So that's something a bit tricky, right? So you think that you publish, very quality papers, right? And yet you get tier 2, don't be surprised. That's what happens, because they don't really look at the quality of the paper. They take some articles into consideration, right? But that's it's not the major determining factor. So your job is to do all this housekeeping, not to get into which tier. It's not about the quality of the papers, it's about the quality of management. Okay, so you have to manage your journal well, which means that, for example, you have to keep your website, clean and clear and modern and consistent. Okay, if you take a look at different websites, for example, we also hired Taijo, right, to do the websites for us. So you can see that, this is our website, right? That is what Taijo has been doing for us. So about reflections, current issues, archives, editorial team, submissions, author guidelines, ethical standards, announcements, contact us, right? So all the information should be there. That is very important. Announcements, for example, you think it's not related to your journal, right? But it is, by the way. So you need to make sure that you are, that the announcements are up to date. Sometimes you post about a conference, somewhere in America, right? Sometimes you post a conference in Khon Kaen. Sometimes you do post about Thao webinar online, right? So as you can see, you have to keep the post coming. Do not leave your website unattended. Right, that's part of the evaluation. We once got tier 2 because of the quality of our website. That's, believe it or not, so. When we first were evaluated by TCI, we only got tier 2, and the main criticism was that we did not have beautiful enough websites. We don't have clear enough websites, and also, as you can see, right, if you would like to submit, people can do submission online, right? And you're supposed to correspond online. So you need to get some training. If you are hoping for the journal to be indexed, in high tiers or to go international, then you need to send someone, to receive a proper training. And that's what Taijo would do for you. Once you pay them, they would send someone to train you as well. So you need to have one staff or one editor, who would look after these things. So as you can see, right, it is the submission system. So everything is there: instruction for authors, instruction for reviewers, about the journal, and then contact editorial office. So everything is pretty transparent, right? And when you do this, SCOPUS or TCI, they can check, right? They can check what's going on, on the website. So if you have a paper suddenly published, right, without the online correspondence, your marks will be deducted in terms of transparency. Understand what I mean, right? So let's say you publish an article, but you don't have the evidence of correspondence, then you would be penalized, right? And that would be able to determine which tier your journal is going to fall into. So this is something that you need to be very careful. Again, I'm emphasizing the fact that it's not about the quality of the paper. It's all about how you manage the website. So reality of journals in this country. Transparency. Like I said, everything must be clear. You must have clear publication process, right? Everything must be correspondent online, right? Because TCI people will check the activities, so that is to make sure that you do not publish the work without reviewers, something like that, okay? The formatting must be consistent. So this is a good start for you because this is a new journal, right? This is like you are going to launch the journal. So it's going to be the first issue, right? So if it's the first issue, you can always set the direction of the format. How are you going to format your article? What kind of outlook are you going to have for each published article, right? When we got into SCOPUS or TCI, I remember that we had to fix all the papers just to make sure that they all look the same. So we have been in the market since 2001 or 1998 or something, right? But we got into SCOPUS in 2013. Before the evaluation, I remember that we had to do all the format check, right? Backdated as well, just to make sure that at least, for the past 3 years, the journals are consistent in terms of format. So for you as a new journal, this is something you can start straight away, just to make sure that all the formats must be in place. You must have accessibility, right? All the archives, all issues, new issues must be organized, quite neatly. Okay, and also punctuality, very important. If you want to be in, a good tier, then punctuality is very important. You have to be punctual when you publish an issue. For example, when let's say you have 2 issues per year, right? Jan to June, July to December. So let me ask you this. When we talk about punctuality for the issue of Jan to June, when should you publish your journal? Anyone? For the issue of January to June, if you have to publish, an issue and then, say that it is punctual. So which month should your journal be published?
Beginning of June.
No, it's actually Jan. At the beginning of January, the journal, must be launched, right? It doesn't have to be complete, right? Let's say you have 10 articles per issue. At least you must have 1 or 2, available online already, to signal the beginning of that issue. So this is something that is very important for journal people. So if you say Jan to June, in Jan, at least there must be some articles right there to be qualified as punctual. Okay, and also with the continuous presence, like I said, you have to keep posting announcements. So it's not difficult to be in a high tier. It just have to be it's just time consuming ครับอาจารย์ so what you need to do is you need to keep track of these things มันไม่ยากแค่กินเวลานะครับ so one good thing about the current situation is this. Okay, so this is the first part. Do you have any questions with TCI? So my suggestions to give you a shortcut that you don't need to build your own website, right? There is no need to write your own website. It's complicated. Spend money buying Thaijo services, and then that would give you a great way into TCI already, because Thaijo would help you decide which information is to be included on the website, right? So, and then you just look at other people's website and then maybe imitate, what's going on there. Okay.
Excuse me, Jan, for Thaijo database also applicable to Scopus and other ERIC database as well.
ERIC and Scopus are international databases, right? So I think the first step that you should do is that you should get into Thaijo first, because if you get into Thaijo, right, that's the national database. Again, if when you do a journal, right, sometimes it's for your student to graduate. I'm not sure the requirements of your students, right? So are they supposed to publish and then graduate, or they must publish in international journals only? So it depends on the purpose, right? For some universities, for master students, right, they can publish in, national journals and then they can graduate, right? For PhD, maybe the requirements are higher.
Yes, at Buriram Rajabhat University, at least one paper of PhD student must be published in international journal.
Okay, so so I guess you have to strive for international databases then, but I mean, it's always good to be in the national database first, right? At least it's for your staff. People can get พส รส อะไรอย่างเงี้ยใช่ไหมคะ if your journal is in tier 1 or 2 of TCI and if you have a master's program, then at least this will be the platform for your students to publish in. Okay, so TCI would be a good start. And what I would like to say next is this. Right now, TCI and Scopus, they are working together, right? They are working together. So we have what we call a bridging program, a fast track for Thai journals to get into Scopus, right? Normally, if you apply without TCI support, right, the process can be long and unpredictable, right? Can be very long and unpredictable. So right now, Ajahn Narongrit, I have his picture here. Professor Dr. Narongrit Sombat Sompop, I hope you have heard of him because he's the head of TCI, right? So he's the key person in helping Thai journals, and then pave the way for them to get into Scopus. So what he does or has been doing is that he has been working closely with Scopus, right? And then Scopus allows Ajahn Narongrit to select the journals to be included in Scopus. So literally, if Ajahn Narongrit and his team believe that your journal is good enough, then Scopus would believe it is good enough as well, right? So that's what we call a fast track. So when you apply, the chance of being accepted into Scopus would be very high, right? If you apply with TCI, if you apply for Scopus with TCI support, then the chance of getting into Scopus is very high. Okay, so, but before you get into the bridging program, now that's the tricky part. If you want to be part of this program, you have to be in tier 1 first, So that's why, you know, I mean, the first step, you should get into TCI, right? And make sure that you get into tier 1. Once you get into tier 1, right, when the time comes, your journal will be qualified for the bridging program, right? And especially because most of the journals in the program are science, engineering, medical journals, you know, science, agricultural journals. So only 4 or 5 liberal arts journals are in there. Right now, we have Phasa of Chulalongkorn University, right? We have Reflections of King Mongkut University. We have HUS of Silapakon, and Ksesat, Journal of Social Sciences, so KJSS, that's Ksesat. So we have like 6 or 7, I think, you know, they just start a new batch. So I think 2 or 3, you know, are coming in now. So let's say for arts journal, you only have 7 or 8, right? But again, the rest, you know, 30-ish are science-oriented journals. So if you get into TCI tier 1, the chance of you being picked for this program is very high because they want more diversity, right? So, so you have to work hard into getting into TCI tier 1. Right now, Phasa, right, of Chulalongkorn University Language Institute and ABAC Journal, they are in Q1. Okay, Learn of Thammasat University Language Institute and Reflections, you know, our journal are in Q2 at the moment. Okay, so the key person is Ajahn Narongrit. So if you would like him to help with the journal, I think you can approach him directly. He also, you know, he's very helpful. If you want to go international, right? So after you get into TCI tier 1, you know, there are a few things that you would have to be prepared for as well. So these are the tips that I gather from my own experience. When I applied for SCOPUS, again, it was one very complicated journey this way, but I thought the reward was, you know, very satisfactory. So we were very happy when we got in, and when the queue was announced, you know, I was over the moon because I never imagined that the journal would be ranked so high. You know, so it was great. It's not just for me, but also for, you know, people in the field as well, right? Because, you know, Thai staff or Thai academics have to publish, so at least we serve, you know, your needs too. Okay, for me, you go for SCOPUS. That's the most influential. So TCI and then SCOPUS. No, we try to get into ERIC first, right? But the process is as complicated. So go for SCOPUS, and then once you get into SCOPUS, other databases will contact you straight away. You know, after I got into SCOPUS, I received at least 4 emails from different databases, from Scandinavian database, from ERIC, you know, from other, you know, databases of SciMarco. So SCOPUS is the doorway, you know, it's the gateway into other databases. So your job is to make sure you get into TCI tier 1 and then SCOPUS. Okay, preparation. Now this is something we have to talk about as well. Your journal, because it's going to be launched, right? You need to think about the name that is international. So Journal of Linguistics, for example, would be international. Journal of English Language Teaching, that's international, right? But once you put things like Buriram Journal of Language Teaching, again, Ajahn Narongrit may ask you to rethink the name of the journal. So what would be the name of your journal? BR microphone, I'm sorry.
It is BRU ELT journal.
BRU ELT. So ELT is international. BRU, you will need some explanations. Now, so I would give you a case of Phasa. Phasa was a hot debate among people in the SCOPUS business, because they don't know what Phasa actually means, right? Ajahn Narongrit was also trying to convince, you know, Phasa to change the name, but because you know how, you know, difficult Jula can be as well, right? So Jula fought back and said that they would like to keep the name, right? So in the end, they must do, I think they had to do some special sections, you know, on their website explaining what Phasa means. So they have to, add one paragraph to explain the origin of the title, to explain what it means, why it is important to the theme of the journal or the published articles. So if you would like to keep the term BRU, for example, then you also have to do some explanations. You can prepare for this. Indian Pasa gets a green light. Okay. Also, for Pasa, they also put Chulalongkorn, right? Pakiao, emblem on the journal. Ajahn Narongrit also asks for that emblem to be removed because it's not international. So before the issue was solved, I think they already experienced like 2-year delay, 2 years, because they were fighting whether to keep or to remove the emblem, because they said that in the international context, Prakiao is meaningless, so you don't have to keep it. But again, Chula fought back and said that it's part of the pride, so we can explain what it means. So in the end, I think they got a green light. Now you can always check these things. Okay, it's a case study. When let's say if you get invited into the SCOPUS team, the SCOPUS bridging program, Ajahn Narongrit will talk about different case studies. And Pasa is one of the cases that has been used for quite some time. Okay, the journal scope. So I assume that because you are doing ELT, right? The concept is ELT journal. So that means your paper, the papers we publish would be on English language teaching alone or not. That's something you also have to specify. For example, reflections started from EFL, right? Reflections EFL, so English as a foreign language. So we do English language teaching, we do applied linguistics, and because we have communication programs, right? So we extend it to communication related issues. Okay, so that's why also in the past 5 years, we published articles for, in the area of intercultural communication. So again, for you, if you want your journal to get into, SCOPUS, I think it is part of the requirements. You have to specify the scope of the journal. Very serious, the journals that are going to be rejected are the journals that publish everything, humanities, so archaeology, history, philosophy, language, literature. These are the kind of journals that won't make it. So you have to be very specific. Editorial teams, I believe you have got some interesting people to join the team already. Right, but don't forget, for the editorial teams or reviewer teams, your team of reviewers, you should at least have 50% from international universities. So maybe 5 from Malaysia, 2 from Singapore, the other 10 from Australia or England. So that is the kind of collaboration that you have to secure as well. 50% should be from foreign institutions, right? Don't forget SCOPUS is international, so your journal must also reflect the international quality. So one quality is the diversity of editorial teams. You also need 3 journal advisors with very high age index. So if you haven't found, you have to find now. When we started, we got David Detterding, who's very famous in world English testing. So we have to contact different people to get their names. So I think if you plan to get into SCOPUS, this is also something you have to think about. Get a team of foreign reviewers. Okay, the more countries, the better. Get some from India, Indonesia, Pakistan, America, Brazil. If you can get, the more diversified, the better. Okay, the website, I've talk about this, so don't forget you need an international outlook. The websites that are easy to follow, right? That's why if you put Pakiao, Pakiao emblem on the website, then maybe it's not international enough. So that's something you have to debate with your advisor, which is Ajahn Narongrit in the future. The announcements must be updated. You need to keep posting these things. Okay, This is very important. As on plan, how many articles are you planning to publish per issue?
Yeah, 8 or 12, 8 to 12.
Okay, good, because we used to publish 4, right? As a start. It was when it was not very systematic, right? 4 articles per issue, were quite a lot already. You would have some difficulty getting the papers, when the journal is not indexed anywhere. So lots and lots of contributors would imagine, if they submit to a journal, they should get something in return, right? They should be cited. They should get, I don't know, some financial rewards from their institutions. They should be, they should be published in the platform that is recognizable. So again, a new journal may find it hard to secure contributors. That's what we found. That's what we experienced as well. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I think before we got into SCOPUS, right, I remember that we had to call and beg people to to give us the paper. So that's the kind of connection that you must secure as well, right, to get enough papers to close an issue. Right now, after we got into Q2, we had I receive at least 5 papers per day now. So, they keep coming in, and now it's a different kind of story, right? But I understand what you will have to go through in the first stage. Now, so if you aim for 8, then you probably have to work very hard. So maybe 5 or 6 first. I'm not sure. Don't forget, book reviews can be counted too. So let's say you publish 6 articles plus 2 book reviews, right? So that would make it 8. So Ajahn, you have to plan well. Are you going to do all research articles, or are you going to do 1 or 2 academic or review articles? How many book reviews? So that's the structure that you have to plan. If you want to go into SCOPUS, then at least...
Can I ask you some more questions? If the first issue, maybe 6 papers plus book review and 1 academic article.
Yeah.
What about the next issue? Should be the same?
It should keep going up, Kapajan. So that's why I would believe that you may want to start from 6 first, and then in the second issue or in the second year, you can move up to 8. Now we used to publish 4, right? And then we move up to 6, and then we move up to 8. And once we got into SCOPUS, now it's 13 articles per issue. And I'm not gonna lie, I almost died before I closed each issue because it's really tiring. So that's why, and we are lucky enough, right? Because we already in SCOPUS and we get a lot of articles, right? So I would add, one aspect of hardship into your journal, because it's the beginning. So everything must be set right from the start. But I think, there are both advantages and disadvantages, because it's a new journal, and these are the precautions, right, that you can always follow. So for me, because we had old issues, right? So what we had to do is we had to go fix the old issues before we put them on the archives, on the internet. One thing that cannot change, mark it, one thing that cannot change is the page number. So whenever you fix, the page number cannot change, because it would affect the citations of the people, right? So whatever you do, you cannot change the number of the page number. So I think if you have a big team, then you can aim for 8, for example. But if you have a small team, maybe 5 or 6 to begin with. And in the second year, then you can think about adding more numbers. And to get into SCOPUS, you have to plan long. I think the minimum years that you can plan is...
Can I ask a number of articles in each unit regarding this? It is necessary to write about this in a journal policy or not?
Yes, you have to. So what kind of articles, the scope, everything, you will have to put. So that's part of the clarity. Okay, but again, there are some journals which are more flexible, right? There are some journals that are very strict in terms of the number of articles they publish. KJSS of Gazetsan said that they would publish 102 articles per year, and they stick to that number. For my journal, I said between 10 to 13. You know, so if I get to 13, then lucky me. If I get to 10, then I get tired, then I close the issue, then that's 10. So I think, you know, the safest way to do is to, you know, average it, you know, put it, you know, we publish 8 to 10 articles per issue again. Commit, so you won't have to be so committed. But I think the beginning year, in the beginning, you probably want to go a bit less, just to get it on track first before you start doing.
So I mean, if we are going to publish just only 5 or 6 articles for the first issue, and the next year we can we change the journal policy by adding up a number of
whatever you do, just make sure you put it in the policy, you know, have a written evidence, and that's the best thing that you can do. So when the TCI people come and check, then they would know that, okay, you've changed the policy and you published, you made the announcement, you know, well in advance. So let's say the next issue you want to add the numbers, then you probably have to notify the authors or the public 2 months in advance or something. So that depends on how you play with your website as well. Okay, if you want to go into SCOPUS, now the number must be quite substantial, right? The number must be quite substantial. So I would suggest you get at least 20 articles per year. But that's a long-term plan, right? So maybe year 1, year 2, you go slow first, and then year 3 and 4, you know, and then you can start quickly. You can add more numbers. One, the PCI evaluation happens every January, which means that right now it's January, so you're not going to make it this year, right? But if you already plan to launch a journal, let's say you have 2 issues already this year, right? So maybe in December or in November, you can start thinking about having it indexed in TCI. No, so if you start strong, for example, buy TCI services, when you buy Thaijo services, I think that's one of the smartest choices that you can have. We were doing our own website for so long, and we never met the requirements, so we decided to get the money. And then once we bought Thaijo, right, then everything was, you know, was improved, you know, tremendously. So money is the best solution. Okay, the proportion of publication is also very important. It is something that you need to think about. So let's say if you have 8 articles, 8 articles, only 2 articles can come from Rajabhat Buriram. Only 2 can come from Rajabhat Buriram. So make it 25% only. If you have 8 articles and then 7 articles come from Buriram, then your journal would never pass the evaluation. So just make sure that you get enough outside authors, okay, for each journal. Even better if you get international authors. Okay, now international authors means what? It means that you don't have to be British, to come from a British university. So sometimes a Thai PhD student studying in England, you know, when they submit the paper to you, that's classified as international papers. So affiliation is more important, no? So the affiliation is very important. He can be Thai, he can be Indian, but if he comes from the University of Birmingham, then it's a British paper. Okay. Lucky for us, at least right now, the Thai journals publishing Thai articles already are accepted in SCOPUS. Now it used to be only English, right? But again, SCOPUS is now promoting diversity, right? So journals that are dominated by Thai articles are now being accepted as well. Your job is to make sure the translation is done. So you have to do the translation for the abstracts. Okay, publication process must be very clear. Let me give you some example from my website. I'm not saying that my website or my journal is the best, but it's just that I'm sharing with you what we have done because we went through it first, right? So the author guidelines, you can see that the submission categories, you have to put it, right? Research articles, academic articles, book review, you know, the number of words must be put, right? Important, please read, you know, submission, click here, email me, blah, 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 you know, that is the language. You have to have APA style 7th edition, right? So everything is, you know, is put there, procedures, and to make your life a lot easier, create a flow chart. You have to have a flow chart อย่างเงี้ยเนาะ with a flow chart then this is the one way to add clarity into the process นะครับ this is one way เนาะ so the more information you can give on the website the better นะคะ so that is what we do we talk about the definition, right?ภาษา for example, so you can see that, about the journal, that is how you have to design your website, aim and scope, right? The term reflection defined as a serious and careful thought is crucial for the professional and pedagogical development. So even for me, reflection is an English term, right? It is an English term, but because we capitalize EFL, then we also have to explain it, right? EFL stands for English as a foreign language. So publication policy, we do not accept any payment. So if it's free, you also have to say it's free. If you charge money, you also have to state that you charge money. If you do not state it on the website and you collect the money, that's one ground of being kicked out of SCOPUS นะครับเขาสามารถเตะเราออกได้เลยเนาะ that's one ground of being removed from the database. So whatever you do, you have to be very careful, right? And then there is the scope, welcome submissions, publication frequency. You see, everything is has to be stated, quite clearly. And now that is something I found that I have to fix as well, because we are now doing 3 issues per year. So you see, by giving you a talk, I spot, my own mistake too. So that is something that, that you have to be thinking about in the process of preparing. And if you have this, then it's good for TCI application as well. As long as you maintain your website well, then it's going to be beneficial for you and your team. Okay. My time is running out, so I'm going to go faster. Okay, so clear steps and timelines. You need that. You need transparency. If you charge money, you have to say you charge money. If you use 3 reviewers, then you have to say that as well. Ethics and regulations, in which criteria or in which circumstance would an article be rejected, for example, then, all these are regulations that you have to state clearly, right? You cannot reject a paper and not give any explanations. That's the ground for being sued as well. จะโดนร้องเรียน And then think about the turnover period. Okay, each article should be about 3 to 8 months. อาจารย์ if you go beyond 8 months, it's not good for the record. So that's what we have to be aware of as well. I mean, there are certain circumstances when each article, exceeds 8 months or 9 months. Some articles exceed a year, but again, you have to have explanations. Sometimes the process is delayed because of the reviewer. Sometimes it's delayed because of the system. Sometimes it's delayed because of the author himself or herself, right? So that's why you must keep the website in place. So at least TCI people, when they go in, they see, then they understand. Okay, format consistency. I talk about this many times. When I said international, right, international format, again, I'm giving you an example. It's not that mine is the best. You see, punctuality, how we talk about January, right? So the first thing I do is I put 1 article up there first, to make sure that we are on time. So that is what we do, right? For the journal, for the article itself, you have to have the name, the affiliation, right? You have to have the corresponding author contact, submission, right? Article history, received when, accepted when, available when, right? The abstract, the keywords, and all these formats. So you can design. It's up to you. You can see different formats of different journals and then choose one for your own. Whatever format you choose, just make sure it's consistent. You have to be very consistent with the format. Publication fees, that's your job, to think, to charge or not to charge. Now, if you talk to Ajahn Narongrit, Ajahn Narongrit would say that, it's better not to charge. But again, depends on the funding of your university as well, right? Sometimes, I mean, running a journal is expensive, right? Because sometimes you have to pay for reviewers, sometimes you have to pay to have hard copies. A lot of people still want hard copies. Journals like Learn stop printing hard copies. Journals like mine still print because we believe that, some authors enjoy reading the journals, in print. So we still do it. We reduce the number of prints, but we still print, right? And think about the number of articles that you publish as well. We used to publish 4 articles, so it used to be this thick, right? This thick, and then we published 13, so it's this thick. So the money is doubled, right? But we still get funding from TCI. We still get funding from the ministry. We still get funding from the university. So that's why we are still okay, But for you, if you don't have enough funding, you have to collect fees from the authors, then you have to state it very clearly in the journal on the website. So all these are preparation tips. So let me remind you again. First of all, the journal title. If you use something so specific, then find explanations for it. If you still can change the name of the journal, maybe you might like to think, about the name of the journal as well. The scope, you must be very specific. If you're going to focus on English language teaching alone, then make sure that you are only accepting papers in teaching. The teams start looking for networks, from different universities around the world. Don't forget, the more diversified, the better. If you get reviewers from Paraguay, or Fiji, or Mauritius, then even better. Again, for the authors as well, if you publish articles from India, from Mongolia, it's even better for your journal in terms of diversity. Get 3 journal advisors with very high age index. The website must be updated all the time. Think about the number and the proportion. The proportion is very interesting, very, very important as well. Sometimes, once you run a journal, there would be people asking for help, right? Can you please publish this? Can you please publish that? I'm sure you can help someone, but you just have to manage it well. Okay. The process must be clear. If you can include the flowchart, then do it. Consistency is the key. And if you want to collect the money, just make sure you put it in on the website. Okay, so this is my line ID. I'm very approachable. Now, I'm not God or anything, so people would always believe that editor-in-chief must be very hard to get. That's not true. I'm very ordinary. So always, if you have a question or if you need to know more information about publishing, then feel free to send a message or email me. Okay, good. Okay, so I guess that's it for me. We have about 7 minutes for Q&A. If you would like to ask any questions.
I would like to ask you about the process of being indexed by Eric and Scopus. Is this similar or something different?
Eric is supposed to be easier, right? Eric is supposed to be easier because it's not as competitive. But the amount of time preparing for documents is pretty much the same. So the documents that you have to prepare is that you have to fill in the forms, you have to contact different people, you have to choose the articles for them to read. So for Eric, you have to choose 10 articles for them to evaluate. So you have to have 10 articles that you are proud of and then send them. But so we were preparing for that, right? But luckily we were selected for the program, the bridging program, right? So we abandoned Eric and then we did SCOPUS. Once we got into SCOPUS, we got an email from Eric, a few months later. So they actually asked us to sign a consent form. Instead of preparing the documents, they just asked us to just sign the consent form because they are going to index our journal straight away.
So are you planning to get your journal indexed by Eric in the future?
We already in Eric, we already
I see.
Yes,
okay.
But we don't have to do anything because once you are in SCOPUS, Eric will contact you straight away. So
any very any requirements, for example, like you have to get your journal published at least 3 consecutive years or 6 issues for entering to Eric or SCOPUS?
No, but TCI, I think TCI would have those requirements. So TCI would see how many years you've run the journal and then how many years before you can get into SCOPUS. So again, my suggestion is that, if you would like to get into SCOPUS, get through TCI. That's the easiest shortcut. I once went to Taipei, right? We had this meeting with NTU people, right? And they were telling us that it took them 5 years to get into SCOPUS because they did it so directly. There's no shortcut and all. So the queue was very long, the evaluation was very tough, right? So for Thai journals to get into SCOPUS, the easiest way is to get through TCI นะครับ it took us 3 weeks to get accepted. 3 weeks, not because we are good or anything นะครับ I cannot take credits for myself, so I have to attribute the credits to อาจารย์ณรงค์ฤทธิ์อะไรอย่างเงี้ยนะครับ because he was mentoring us very closely. He was actually on Zoom. That was during the COVID, when the COVID started. So we were on Zoom. He was reading every piece of information that we sent him. So we were fixing the website. We posted something, right? He would get back with feedback. So he read every single thing on our website. So my suggestions was that, you get yourself into Taijo, right? Buy Taijo first, and then get into TCI, and once you get into TCI, you would be listed as the editor. So you would be able to join all the editor meetings, right? You would be invited for the editor meetings, and then you can approach อาจารย์ณรงค์ฤทธิ์นะครับ for the possibility of being included for SCOPUS.
So please kindly suggest my PhD student. Now they are very eagerly attending this webinar. If they are planning to submit their papers to get published in your journals, any suggestions? Yeah.
Okay.
What about the percentage of rejection and acceptance?
Okay, part of the commitment, right? Part of the commitment for Thai journals to be in SCOPUS is that we are requested to nurture Thai scholars. So the rate of rejection is very low. Because instead of rejecting, we give you more suggestions, right? So if you submit it to us, then we see something that is not, very well put, then we are going to ask you to to fix first, right? So this is why we have the screening round. At our journal, we do the screening round first. So I get an article, I send it to our internal committee, right? So if it's good to go, then we send it outside. If it, can be improved first, then we are going to bounce it back to the authors, ask them to fix, right? So once they fix, they send back to us, then we send it to reviewers, So if you pass the screening round, the chance of being rejected is almost zero. From the record. Once you fix your paper according to the suggestions, the chance of being rejected is almost zero. I never saw any paper that passed the screening round and then got rejected. So this is the kind of support that we gave to Thai scholars. And your students are, even they're from Myanmar or India or Pakistan or whatever, if they are part of your university, so they are treated as local, right? And that's what we would do as well. We would nurture the local scholars. So there is no need to worry. What you need to do is that you need to follow the conventions of writing. Do research, write well, ask your supervisor to help, and then submit to us, and then we would take over from there. So there's no need to worry. That's something I always say to people these days. It used to be like a far-fetched dream, right? To publish in SCOPUS, it looks so difficult, and now it's not that difficult anymore, because we have different journals in Thailand that are SCOPUS index. If you go for Learn, you see อาจารย์ Supakar, right, who is the chief editor. He is very kind as well. If you come to Reflections, then it's me, in flesh and blood today. So you see how easy I am, right? If you go to Manusaya, for example, Arts Jula, the editor-in-chief is Pitayawat, right? อาจารย์โจ who is also my friend. So it's a very small circle. We can always, help each other, support each other. So maybe the journal, for example, one article was sent to me, right? And then it did not fit the scope. So I forward the article to Manusia for the author. I even emailed the introduction, right? That, maybe your journal is better with that journal, and then Pitayawat took over the process. So this is the kind of support that we give to the local scholars and students. So I would not worry too much. I would, if I were you, I would enjoy the process of doing research, and once you get a full manuscript, then you can, you are welcome to submit it to us.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Ajahn Yudajack, you like to ask some questions? Are you planning to submit a paper to reflection? Ajahn Yimonchu from Myanmar, Yi Li Wang from China.
Hello.
Would you like to?
Wei Yi Wang or anyone who would like to submit now, if the system is very difficult, I have a lot of problems with the system itself, right? So what my suggestion would be that you email your manuscript to us first. Now you have my email. Now I sent the slide to Ajahn Akrapon already, so he would give you the slides later. So feel free to email me. And then we can help with the system later. I have an assistant who would put your article into the system for you. Put it this way.
Okay, Professor. Okay, I do have one question. Okay, if we would like to be one of the editorial team members, to be an editor.
I always look for people to help with the review. So if you would like to help, now I will contact Ajahn Akrapon for further. It's okay. That's part of the journal running, journal operation, is that it's going to be very difficult to get reviewers who would do the job for you. Even though you are close to them. I know so many people in the Wongkar, in the industry, right? I give them a call and they would say, God, I'm really busy, I can't do it. For example, some people are friends on my Facebook. They're from Taipei, from America. Once you talk to them about something else, they're willing to chat with you. Once you ask them to review a paper, they said no straight away because they don't have time. So that's going to be part of the problem, But if you would like to help be part of my journal, then you are very welcome.
So do you announce any requirements for becoming an editor?
No, we just would like to see, we just would like to know your expertise, that's all. Yeah, if you, because if your expertise is on teaching, then, we can always ask for your assistance, Ajahn.
Yes, thank you very much, Krab.
Sometimes I have to ask Ajahn Athipat, right, to read 5 papers, because we can't find a reviewer. Exactly. So if you're willing to help, then, I would be very honored.
Okay, are there any more questions? So if no questions, okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is a special talk on how to get a journal index in national and international databases, okay, by our speaker, Assistant Professor Thanis Tangkitjaroenkun. And on this occasion, may I call up on Associate Professor Dr. Akrapon Neermaihom, Ph.D. in the LT Program Chair and Dean, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, to deliver a thankful message to the invited speakers of this webinar, please.
Before giving a thankful message to our guest speaker, I would like to ask you, do you agree with me or not? His talk today is very insightful, and also his action also very lively and active. Yeah. Even if he's talking online, but still very active and very energetic. So what will happen if he coming to talk to us on site at Buriram University? Yeah. So
I've never been to Buriram, so
yes, please. And some of my students from China and from Myanmar, they are planning to study on site at BRU campus, I think next year, I think this year from April onwards. So by the time we are going to have your kind consideration to accept our invitation and give talk on site at Buriram. Accept, yes. Dr. Kampi, as the Secretary of Curriculum Committee, you can book the air ticket now. All right, you can talk to him in person and buy a ticket in the including the hotel. All right, so today I'm very certain that all of you joining this webinar got a lot of things, guidelines and other suggestions how to get your paper published in international journals. All right, and highly hope that in the near future some of you will be submitting your paper and get it published in this reflection. And one thing I would like to know that this journal already published a paper of Ajahn Pallapa from Buriram Rajabhat University. She is doing PhD at Thammasat University now, and she luckily got her paper published in reflection journal. I think last few months. Yeah. So she can do that. I think you also can do that. All right. I'm giving you a moral support. So last but not least, by the end of this webinar, on behalf of the PhD University Program, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, and also the president, I just informed her that today we're having the key speaker from King Mongkut. She said, oh, I really want to come to talk to him, but she's busy, and she just sent her thankful message to our guest speaker today. So on her behalf, also, I would like to thank you so much for your insightful talk, and we highly hope to have you with us on site at the UTT campus very soon. Thank you so much for your very insightful lecture today. ขอบคุณมากนะครับ Please keep in touch.
Thank you so much for listening.
ครับขอบคุณครับ
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we still have another highlight of today's webinar. That is a small talk on BRU ELT journal launch. So again, it's an honor for us to invite Associate Professor Dr. Akrapol Nermaihom, our program chair and dean, to present the information about this topic. Yes,
are you tired? Are you tired, Mr. MC and my students? If not, I'll spend 5 more minutes for presenting our our journal. This is, you can say that's our journal, not my journal, because it is initiated by our program. So that's why we should join hands and help each other to carry out this journal together. Okay, let me share with you about 2 or 3 screens of my PowerPoint relevant to this journal, and then you can ask me something, or you can add something else in order to develop our journal and get it indexed by maybe TCI, ACI, or SCOPUS in the future. All right, and where is my PowerPoint here? Here's my PowerPoint. Can you see my PowerPoint now? No. PowerPoint พี่ไปไหนครับพี่ Okay, let me share again. Journal. Oh, here it is. Can you see my screen? Yes, can you see my screen now? Yes. The names of our journal is BRU ELT journals. I'm going to defend the proper name BRU later on, no problem. I can give some more explanation about this. I'm planning to get our journal published 3 issues a year. All right, not just only 2 issues, 3 issues. As suggested by Assistant Professor Dr. Thanis, I'm planning for the first year get only maybe 4 to 6 papers per issue for the first year. All right, so 3 issues in the first year will be about about maybe 12 or 15, not more than 20 papers for the first year, 3 issues. All right, and this is the publishers. We are the owner. The Doctor of Philosophy program in English language teaching is the owner of this journal. So now we are going to record the history. We would like to build the history together. All right. And I just informed the president of Buriram Rajabhat University. She's very happy. She's very surprised. And she said that, unbelievable, your program is the first program in BIU history that dare to develop the journal. And she is very happy to support us, not just only moral support, also budget as well. All right, I talked to her in person already. She is very pleased to be the advisor, the journal advisor. And for the first year, please allow me to be the editor-in-chief for the first year. But next year, maybe other curriculum committee, maybe admin, maybe other lecturers, we will take turn. All right, we take turn to work as the editor-in-chief. But for the first year, please allow me to do so. All right. And we are very lucky. You can see here a lot of professors from around the world kindly accept my invitation to be the editorial board. You see, they are the big man. They are the big boss of ELT. All right, you can see here Professor Panor Neung. All right, Dr. Atipat from King Mongkut. This is Thai editorial members. Anjali from Suratnari, Prakasip from Thammasat. Of course, Dr. Ramin, all right. For Masuda, already accept my invitation. Nini, all right. Then Yimon, Professor Talik from Saudi Arabia, Gambi, Professor Gambi from India, Professor Lloyd from Bangladesh. This is, he's very well known, this Associate Professor Fan. He is the editorial, he's editor-in-chief of the well-known journal. He also accept my invitation. And next is Professor Pham from Vietnam. And this professor from Yemen. Yes, this is a big man, Professor Willie from Singapore. And this is his friend, recommended by Professor Willie. You invite me, why don't you invite my friend, Dr. Lloyd from England? So we are very lucky to have the kindness given by the professors. And the last one is Professor Nguyen from Australia. Many more I'm going to invite, including Assistant Professor Dr. Thanis as well, and also Dr. Supakon, who is the Editor-in-Chief of SCOPUS Index Journal, that is Learn and Reflection. I highly hope that they will kindly accept our invitation to be the editorial members, editorial board. All right. What we are planning to move further for our new journal. This is my time frame. All right. The time frame of BIU journal, EU journal development within 2 years, not more than 2 years. All right. Six issues. Sorry, not 3. 6 issues. We are planning to get it indexed by TCI. Tier, I don't mind tier 1 or tier 2, but at least must be tier 2. All right. And also ACI at the same time. ACI means ASEAN Citation Index. TCI means Thailand Citation Index. So I think we can do it within 2 years, and it will be indexed by TCI and ACI. And next, within 3 years, we will try our best to get our journal indexed by ERIC. After listening to the explanation given by Assistant Professor Thanis, I think we can do that. All right, based on the guidelines given by our speaker. And within 3 or 4 years, very challenging mission indeed. All right, we will try our best to get our journal indexed by SCOPUS, not more than 4 years. And within this month, I'm going to buy the Taijo system as suggested by Dr. Thanis, our guest speaker. It is, we have some budget for this. And I don't think it's a good idea to develop our own website. And because TCI already did it for us, that is Taijo. And within this month, I will ask Dr. Kampi to pay for the Taijo. All right, Dr. Kampi, are you ready to pay for this? Yes or no, Dr. Kampi? Speak louder, please. เสียตังค์ไม่ยอมออกเสียงเลยว่ะ. Dr. Kampi, he is going to pay about maybe 10,000 baht, 10,000 baht, all right, for the Thaijo database system. And I'm going to ask our staff to develop a website. And I think by the end of this month, we will get the website and also the Thaijo system database system. And now we start welcoming the papers from everyone who is interested in ELT. So you also my Burmese student, Chinese student, and our friend, our academic partners, please bear in mind that we start launching our journal already. So please forward this message to your friend and ask them to submit their papers. All right. And all of you here will be invited as the editorial member, or some tasks will be given to you. All right. Maybe as the peer reviewers and other tasks. All right. Are you ready to help? Are you ready to give a hand, Ajahn Yimon, Ajahn Yuthajak, and other? That's it for my intention. All right, to launch this new journal. Not easy, but I think that it is very challenging. That's it. So would you like to add something? Ajahn Bhattanan, you would like to be my secretary or not? อยากเป็นเลขาอาจารย์เอกไหมเนี่ย
Yes, I would love to ค่ะอาจารย์
Oh, thank you so much in advance. อาจารย์ยี่หลีหวังอาจารย์ยี่มอนไอมามาออนเซเล่ออนมาวินวันชนะพิพาพรยุทธจักรแมรี่นะพี่สุรชัยด้วยนะทุกท่านสมยงนะน้องศิริศักดิ์ต้องร่วมด้วยช่วยกันนะห้ามลอยแพนะพวกเรา we have to help each other to do something very challenging. All right, now there are two journals at my faculty. The first one is Manusaya Sangkom Sano J HUSOC. This is indexed by TCI Tier 1 already. I am the editor of that, but mostly it is written in Thai language, but it is the highest journal because it is indexed by TCI Tier 1, Group 1. And the second one is GEL. GEL is Journal of English Language and Linguistics. Now we are planning to submit the requirement to ERIC. I think within this year we will get a good news to get GEL indexed by ERIC. And next year we are planning to submit it for SCOPUS Journal. So I have done this job quite a long time. I have been editors of HUSOC quite a long time, at least 6 years. I think I and you can do this job for sure. ทำได้ไหมอาจารย์ยุทธจักรทำได้ไหม You think you can do this?
Yes, Professor. I think
Thank you.
our role is the author, yes, writers,
Good, thank you.
reviewer, and also invite our friends to join.
Good, thank you.
To contribute their articles. Yes.
Editor, reviewer ลองบางทีอย่านั่งอยู่เซ่อๆต้องเอาตังค์มาช่วยด้วยจ่ายค่าไทยโจนะจ่ายค่าทำเว็บไซต์นั่นนี่นั่นเนาะ Would you like to give some suggestions about our journal, our PhD LT journal? I think it's very challenging to do this task. ระดับสาขาทำวารสารได้ก็ไม่ธรรมดานะ at the program levels can carry out the journal. I think it's not easy, but we can do that. Okay, any other suggestions for journal development to launch? You look really tired. So if you have something that you would like to suggest, you can let me know later on. Today you are really tired. All right. And Mr. MC, please allow me to take this time to end our webinar. Yes. Because I just got a message from Vice President, Assistant Professor Thonburi. He was engaged with a meeting with BRU President Chu. So he asked me to end the webinar. So on behalf of Mr. Vice President, thank you very so much, all of you, for your energetic participation in this webinar from the beginning until now. not just only the PhD student but also the ถือไว้ก่อนสมยงถือไว้สมยงถือไว้ and also the curriculum committee อาจารย์สุรชัย and other members อาจารย์กัมพีรภาพ and our academic partner thank you so much for your interest in our webinar and your great performance your energetic participation I highly hope to see you on site online in the near future please do take care and keep in touch all right stay healthy and stay rich นะอาจารย์วิภาพรนะ so last but not least please allow me to declare this webinar officially closed thank you so much stay healthy keep in touch see you ขอบคุณและสวัสดีครับ
Thank you very much ครับ Thank you
Thank you Thank you very much
Thank you ครับสวัสดีครับ
โอ้มีลูกมันได้ยินเสียงลูกได้ยินเสียงพ่อเลยเนี่ยไหนว่าเป็นโสดมันมีเสียงเด็กมาได้เนาะนั่นสมยง โอเค see you bye bye
Thank you ครับสวัสดีครับฟังตลอดครับ
ขอบคุณครับท่านรองนิคมด้วยท่านรองนิคมจากเพชรบูรณ์นะวันนี้ท่านกรุณามาร่วมอันนี้ด้วยท่านรองอธิการบดีนิคม Thank you so much for your invaluable time attending our webinar
Thank you
support Thank you ครับขอบคุณครับ see you next time bye bye ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you. Thank you.